Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to do a tutorial for you guys for Valentine's Day. I know a lot of you guys are going to have plans for this very special day, so I wanted to make sure you guys had a look that was easy and simple to do. So I'm doing a tutorial for you guys on my friend Aliza, so it's not on me. But what I wanted to really show you guys is how to do a very light, sort of pretty look, as opposed to really decked out. I feel like most guys, if you take a survey, they all prefer the much more natural look, and I was sort of tailoring it to that, so don't go overboard unless you've been dating your man for a while. Then I'm sure he already knows that you like makeup, in which case you're probably going to be decked out, which is totally cool. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Also, at the very end we have a quick fashion segment. She wanted to show me what she was actually planning to wear on Valentine's Day, so I wanted to show you guys that as well in case you guys are looking for some outfit inspiration. And don't forget to check out my blog for everything from, what I've been working on to today. I don't have anything extra on my blog from this post specifically, but from my NARS post, from my Glossier post, from my outfit post to, what else, Gerard Cosmetics. I have lots of other stuff on there that you guys might enjoy, especially still photography, because you can't really see everything on camera always, like when it's in video form, so I have a lot of stills there. Also, if you guys have any input for me or feedback, I'd love to know. Also, I'm sure you guys are going to ask what I've got on my face, what I've got on my lips. So I've got my Lime Crime Cashmere lipstick on with Soar lip liner by MAC today. I don't have anything else on, so it's just those two. And on my face, I'm not wearing my NARS foundation today. I'm wearing Glossier's Phase One Set. So if you guys have not checked out my video on that, you guys really should. It's such an incredible product. And I will link all of those types of things down below so you guys can, have an easier time finding things that I'm suggesting. The first thing we always start off with is a good strong base, so we're using Too Faced Shadow Insurance here, which is just an eye primer for the entire lid. And I'm putting this on the entire lid, top to bottom. Next I'm going to go in with Brule eyeshadow by MAC. It's basically a pretty opaque, off-white-ish sort of color, and Elisa's obviously very fair skin, so that was a good option for her, and I'm putting that on with a 217 brush from MAC, and I'm putting this all over the lid. She's got a big lid space. We're definitely carrying it up all the way into the crease and actually inside the crease as well. Next, I'm using a pigment by NYX, which is a champagne colored pigment, and I'm using a flat brush to push this and press this onto the lid. We haven't foiled the brush either, but the pigment will stay on. This is just to give it a little bit of a glamorous look, just a little bit of shine. So you're going to keep pressing this on. Then I'm going to go in with an eyeshadow from MAC, which I don't have the name for because there's a magnet covering it, but if you have Mystery, it's kind of that sort of grayish brown color. And then I'm going to put this into her crease. Her crease is very high up. Her lid space is a lot, so the crease has gone up very high, and that's exactly what we're putting the eyeshadow into. It's in her socket. We haven't created a different crease. We're not making the crease lower. We're going into the actual socket of the eye. And with left and right motions, little round motions, you're going to keep pressing in more eyeshadow until you get the desired depth that you want. Make sure you keep having your client or yourself open your eyelids so you can see if you can actually see the crease. Many times you do eyeshadow, you put in so much work into the crease, but the second you open the eyes, everything's gone, so that's not what we're going for. And also I'm going to create some depth in the inner corner of her eye as well. As you guys can see, there is some darkness there. And right now it looks messy, but it will all be perfectly fine once we do concealer. Then I'm going to go in with brown script eyeshadow. It's definitely a very warm brown. And I'm putting this into just the corner of her crease, a little bit in front of the other brown eyeshadow to warm this up a little bit. Next, with that NYX pigment, I'm going to go ahead and create her highlight. Make sure you take it into the inner 1/3 of the eyebrow as well and pull it out all the way. Then with the Makeup Forever liquid liner, I'm going to use this angled brush and the liquid liner to create a really thin line. And liner, you guys, I like to start in the middle just because to me that makes sense, because you can sort of get a feel of how you're doing it and then create thickness or thinness on the front and very back corner of the eye to create the exact shape you want. But I'm not doing a wing, I'm just creating a really skinny line. And with little jaggedy motions left and right is how you create the perfect line. I don't think you should do it in one swipe all the way. Next, with my Graftobian HD palette, I'm going to be using the neutral palette here to put on under eye concealer. I really prefer the neutral palette for this as opposed to the cool palette, just because I think that it gives you the best undertones. So I've chosen a color that's a few shades lighter than her skin, I'm putting this all the way up to her actual lash line, because we're going to come back later and do eye makeup there too, but for right now we're just using a foundation brush to put on concealer. You can make this as thick as you want because we are going to use a beauty blender and fix this. Right now I'm going in and sort of fixing this more than you really need to, because if you are going to come back with a beauty blender or any other sponge, then you can fix it then. Make sure you get the inner corner of the eye too, because that's where women get really dark, and I've yet to meet somebody who is not darker there than everywhere else. Then with rice paper eyeshadow, I'm going to use that to get the inner corner of her eye. This is from MAC. You guys know it's my favorite. You could also use nylon if you want, or anything else that is, you know, kind of gold, kind of silver, sort of in between, to get that brightness in the inner corner. Then I'm going to go with that same brown eyeshadow that we used in the crease, the one that I didn't know the name of, and line her lower lash line. Then with a white eyeliner, this one is from Rimmel, but the name sort of smudged off. I'm going to go ahead and fill in her waterline. If you have a sponge or something that you can put your finger on here, that's definitely the best option. I couldn't find mine for this scene, but you basically don't want to hold the concealer with your finger because you will kind of rub it off. Then with my graftobian warm palette, I'm going to go ahead and choose a color that is lighter than her skin and go ahead and start highlighting. So I'm going to put this right in the center of her forehead, down her nose, definitely back into the under eye concealer area because we want to brighten that up. And I'm going to put on a lot. As you guys can see, I know it looks like a lot, but to get the proper highlight contour look that we're going to go for, you do need to put on a thick layer. But you guys definitely, if you're doing this for yourself, then you don't have to do it like this. You can put on your normal foundation and just use your concealer to highlight the way that I am on top of your foundation. But over here, I'm going in under. And so I'm putting this on her cheekbones. I'm going up until where you're going to see your contour and the corners of the nose because you want that to be brighter as well. And then I'm going to go in with a medium color that mostly is her own skin color on the bottom, like below the contour, on the chin, as well as the upper lip area. So I'm basically going to be using 3 colors. One is a very light shade, one's a very dark shade right here, and a medium color. So with that very dark shade, we're going to go ahead and contour the side of the forehead, down the cheekbone, just area where you want to make a little bit smaller, which I know looks really crazy right now, but I won't in a little bit. So I haven't done too much contouring for her because she already has a really angular face to begin with, so it's not something that we need to make, you know, sort of disappear. So again, with that medium color, I'm going into the upper lip area, the sides of the forehead, things like that. There's many different ways to contour. This is just my favorite. Then with a damp beauty blender, I'm going to go ahead and start pressing everything in. So this is really important. If you are going to use this much foundation, you do need to make sure you really know how to use a beauty blender and that you really, really blend this in. So with little patting motions, rubbing motions, little round motions is how you pat everything in. And make sure that it's like going into the skin as opposed to sitting on top. So everything should start to melt together. So I've worked on all the light areas and the medium areas, and now I'm going into the darker areas. And for the contour, I'm sort of pressing that and rolling that upward because you don't want the contour to come downward. That's going to change the shape of her face, so you can always move it upward and backward, but not down. And you guys will see it sort of has disappeared, which is exactly what we wanted, but there's a little bit of a shadow because it's a Valentine's Day look. We don't want to look, you know, too contoured, so we've got just a very, very light one going on. I actually didn't even contour the her jawline because we didn't really need it. Then with the Ben Nye Banana Powder, the shade is Banana, you guys. I'm going to use that to powder her face. This is just my favorite powder for clients. I feel like it brings in that warmth, even if you are more, you know, if you're more pink. I just like this powder a lot. The Lisa's very neutral. It's not even that she's golden, she's neutral, but I've used a lot of warm colors on her. I'm going to powder a lot. Then I'm going to go in with the matte bronzer by MAC, and I'm going to bring in some more warmth to her face. Lisa's having a slight meltdown over here because something got into her eye, so we were trying to fix that. But you're just going to go ahead and bronze the top of the forehead and come down in all the areas that we did contour with the cream foundation. But this is just to give it a little bit more depth, a little bit more color, because the cream foundation has to be set with a powder. So again, it's very, very light, but you should be able to see a nice golden tan. That is what we're going for. So you guys can kind of see that on the forehead and down the cheekbones. Next, we're going to go ahead with an actual contour. So I'm going to use my Graftobian HD powder palette, and this is my absolute favorite. I love the colors in here. And with the very darkest brown, I'm going to go ahead and hold my brush at an angle and go ahead and create a darker contour. This is when you're actually going to be cutting the cheek, not actually cutting it, but with the brush, as opposed to before, that was just to add warmth. Now you're actually adding in the contour. So I've done that just for the cheekbones lightly. You always want to put your brush down on the part closest to the ear because that can be the darkest. And then you're going to move it forward down to where you already sort of have some warmth with the other products that we used before. Even if you've put on too much, you just keep blending, and if you need to correct it, you can go in with your normal face powder. Then with MAC's Blooming Blush, this is a really, really pale pink, and a stippling brush, I'm going to go ahead and put this just in the apples of Elisa's cheekbones. I chose a stippling brush so that it doesn't pick up much product. That's always the way to go if you want a really, really light look as opposed to a lot of color. Because remember, it's a lot harder to take away than to add. So I'm just putting this in the apples, moving it a little bit farther back, but not much at all. Then with a MAC highlight powder in Honey Light, which is an old product, I don't even think they have it anymore, I'm going to go ahead with the stippling brush and put this all over the cheek color just to give it a bronzy sort of look and a little bit of a glow. Then with Triple Fusion Mineralized Powder by MAC, I'm going to use just that gold color to give us a highlight. Again, we're going for a very, very subtle highlight. We don't want a super sculpted highlight, contour, all of that, because this is a Valentine's Day look and men tend to get scared away with stuff like that. So I literally just put this on her highest points, and I think that I'm also going to go down the bridge of her nose to give her a little bit of shine. She's also got dry skin, so that way I know that it's not going to move. Whereas in oily skin, I tend to not like to highlight, the bridge of the nose because we can look very shiny there, as we all know. Next, I'm going to move on to the lips. I'm going to use Hover Lip Liner by MAC. This is my absolute favorite non-fail lip liner. And make sure you guys hold the lip liner at an angle and sort of feather in the color. If you hold it like you would a pen, you are going to get a really dark color. And all we're sort of doing is giving a little bit of a shadow. We don't want that sort of super 80s look where you have a thick old liner and then, a lot of gloss and stuff in the center. We're not going for that. So just sort of feather it, and you'll see that when you hold your liner at an angle, it's really easy to sort of just move with the lip line. Then I'm going to go in with a really pretty pinky nude lipstick by YSL. This is in the color Rouge Per 132. I love this for fair skin tones. You guys have to check this out. I'm going to go ahead and put this on all over the lips, and I'm definitely going to go over the lip liner as well. As you guys can see, there's going to be a little bit of a shadow, but not much. It shouldn't look like you've done really harsh lip liner at all. I just am obsessed with this color, as you guys can see. It's not super, super opaque either, so you can still sort of see, her lip color underneath it. Next, I've used Buttercream Lip Gloss by Gerard Cosmetics just in the center of her lips because that just gives such a pretty pout, and I just love that. And I have a code below too if you guys wanted to get something from there. Then I'm going to go in with Triple Fusion, and I'm going to go ahead and put this right on her Cupid's bow to give a little bit of shine, a little bit of oomph. I love it. And then, of course, we have to do brows. And she's got really shapely brows to begin with, so I'm just going to use Espresso Eyeshadow by MAC, which is one of my favorites for this. And we are going to go ahead and start moving with her normal lash line. I'm going to go ahead and put my eyebrow video down below so you guys can check that out, because doing that here is just going to take a really long time. But make sure the darkest corner is the very outside as well as the arch, and it's not super dark on the inside. But you guys can see how much shape comes with that. Now we've done a sort of messy brow. Here is the final look, and I hope you guys like it. We also have a quick little fashion segment now. So Eliza wanted to wear a high-waisted skirt. This one I think is from Forever 21 with a crop top from Abercrombie that has some lace to it, just to give it a little bit of a feminine look. We also have a pearl bracelet on. This is just a simple feminine look, and she wanted to wear flats because it is a high-waisted skirt and it's kind of harder to wear stuff like that with heels. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you guys have an amazing Valentine's Day. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you guys did like it, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye!